Hey there, in this video we'll be looking at a wallet app. So the app has a stack of cards showing the balance and the card number, and corresponding to each card there is a list of expenses. As usual, I have a constants.dart file showing the constant colors and textiles that I'll be using, and inside the main.dart file I have two variables, a height and width, which sets the screen height and screen width respectively. Now first of all we are going to implement the menu icon. For that I'll be using the AppBar, and inside the AppBar the leading property will have an icons.menu and a color of black. In order to remove the background, first of all we are going to set the elevation to 0 and set the background color to k background color, which is a constant color that I have defined, and the container will have the same background color as well. So our container is going to have a stack as a child. The stack will have two children. The first child is going to be a column. The first child of the column in turn is going to be a text saying my cards, and the style is going to be a predefined style called K black bold, and I'm going to use it with a font size of 22. Now I'm going to provide a cross-axis alignment dot stretch, and then wrap my text with a padding of 20 on all sides. Now under the padding I'm going to use a new widget called swiper, which I have imported from a new package from the pub.dev website, to which I'll provide a link in the description. So the swiper has an item count for, in this case let it be 2 for the moment, and it is going to have an item width, which is going to be the width of the screen, and it will be having a item height, which is going to be 60% of the width of the screen, which is going to be width star 0.6, and it will have a layout, which is going to be a swiper layout dot tinder, and finally an item builder. So item builder returns a widget, so it takes in a context and an index. For the time being, let us return a container which has the same width as the swiper and same height as well. Let's give it a color blue for the moment. So it's working. So now first of all we'll remove the color and to provide a decoration. So border radius is going to be 15 on all corners, and we are going to provide a gradient as well, which takes in a list of colors. So the starting color is going to be a K linear gradient start, and the ending color is going to be K linear gradient end, which I have defined already. So the child of our container is going to be a column, and the first we are going to wrap our column with the padding of 30 on all sides. Before we move further, let me first explain to you about the wallet card class. So the wallet card class has a card number and balance and a list of expenses. I have also defined a list of wallet card called cards, where each wallet card has a number, a balance, and an expenses. So expenses is another class which has a title, an icon, a time, and finally a string expense. So back inside the main.dart file, I'm going to replace the item count with our cards.length, and the column, the first child of the column is going to be a text which says balance, and the style is going to be a K white normal, and I'm going to use a font size of 18. And I'm going to change the main axis cross axis alignment to start. And now the next child is going to be another text which is going to say the balance. So I'm going to use cards of index dot balance, and it is going to have a style which is going to be K white bold, and I'm going to copy it with a size of 25. And the next is child of the column is going to be a swipe, is going to be a spacer, and the final child is going to be an align, and the alignment property is going to be alignment dot center, and the child is going to be a text which has the cards of index dot card number, and finally a style which is going to be K white normal, and I'm going to copy it with the font size of 14. So our swiping card is ready. So the next we have to implement our list of expenses. So for that I'm going to add a second child to our stack, which is going to be a container. So the container, I'm going to wrap it with a widget called align, and I'm going to set the alignment to bottom center, and I'm going to set the width as the width, and I'm going to set the height as height star 0.7, and finally let's give it some color for the moment. So now in order to provide the opacity, I'm going to remove the color and give it a decoration of box decoration, and set the border radius to circular of 40 on all sides, and change the color to white color with an opacity of 0.3, and I'm going to change that to 0.5 or 0.6. Okay, so next we are going to implement a container within this container so that it can hold our column. Now I am going to wrap this container with a widget called card, and this card has a shape which is going to be rounded rectangular border, and the border radius is going to be a circular on all sides of 20, and then I'm going to provide a clip behavior which is going to be clip behavior dot and alias, and our container is going to have a padding which is going to be on all sides and whose value is going to be 8, and similarly our card is also going to be wrapped by a padding which is going to be 20 on all sides. So inside the container there is going to be a single child which is going to be a column. The column will have a main axis alignment which is going to be center, and a main axis size which is going to be main axis dot min. So it will have children. The first child is going to be a row. So the row will have children. The first child is going to be a text which will be saying transactions, and the style is going to be K black bold, and I'm going to use a size of 17. And the next child is going to be a spacer, and the last child is going to again be a row. This time the row will have a main axis size which is going to be minimum, and there are going to be two children. The first child is an icon which is icons.sort with a size of 18, and then the next child is going to be a text which is going to say sort, and the style is going to be K black normal, and I'm going to set a font size of 14. So next I'm going to provide a sized box as the outside the row, and the next child is going to be a sized box of height 15, and the next child is going to be an expanded. So the expanded will have a single child which is going to be our list view dot builder. So before we further set the list view, I'm going to declare a variable called index which has a default value of 0, and inside our swiper I'm going to use a property called on index changed, and I'm going to call set state and set I'm going to change it to custom index and set our custom index as the index here. Now inside our list view I'm going to provide the item count as cards of custom index dot expenses dot length, and our item builder is going to have a context and an index, and it will return a widget. So in this case I'm going to return a row. The row will be wrapped by padding, and the first child of the row is going to be a container. So the container will have a padding of 15 on all sides, and it is going to have, before I do that, I need to add the container inside our children. So child, so the child is going to be an icon which data is going to be cards of custom index dot expenses of index dot icon, and the size is going to be 30, and the color is going to be black with an opacity of 0.6, and our container will have a color of gray with opacity of 0.2 and a decoration of box decoration of border radius circular on all sides of 10, and I am going to copy the color from here and paste it inside our decorations. So in the row, the first child is a container, so the next child is going to be a sized box whose width is going to be 10, and the next child is going to be a column. The column will have two children. The first child, before that I'm going to set the main axis alignment as, not the main axis, the cross axis alignment as start, and I'm going to set the children. The first child is going to be a text which will have a string whose value is going to be cards of custom index dot expenses of index dot title, and whose size is going to be, style is going to be K black bold with a font size of 16. And the next child is going to be another text which is going to say cards of custom index dot expenses of index dot time, and it will have a style which is going to be a text style, color gray, and a font size of 14. And finally I'm going to provide outside the column another child which is going to be a spacer, and then a text which is going to have a value of cards of custom index dot expenses of index dot expense. And if I try running it all now, I have this. So now, in order to provide a spacing between our transaction at the top, I'll go to our card and provide a padding. Say a margin, and I'm going to give a margin only on the top. The top, whose value is going to be 80, and we are going to set this to 15 as well, so it looks more elegant. And finally we are going to add a button at the very bottom of our card column. So outside the expanded, I'm going to add the last child of our column, which is going to be a raised button having a shape of rounded rectangular border with a border radius of 15. And a color of black, and as a child I'm going to pass in a row with a main axis alignment of sender, and I'm going to pass in a text as a single child, which is going to say view all, and the style is going to be K white normal. So we need to add a padding of symmetric and a vertical padding of 15, and adding the on pressed functionality as well, so that the disabled color changes. So I hope you will try to implement the UI as well, and thank you.